Hey, what's up you guys? It's Judy here with my lifeaskikay, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how I save money fast on a low income. On this channel, I do create videos and product reviews, makeup tutorials, and lifestyle advice with the aim to entertain, educate, and enrich the lives of others. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'd love for you to join the Kikay family, and if you're returning here to my channel, then welcome back. I know I just said I create videos of makeup and product reviews, but one of the things that I love to talk about is lifestyle. There are so many more facets to my life than just makeup, and I believe that there are things that I can share of value to you guys that might be able to help you in your own lifestyle choices. One of the very first videos that I ever created here on my YouTube channel was a video on how to save money fast on a low income. And since then, that video has reached 78,000 views and counting. And the one-off niche video here on my YouTube channel that's not about makeup, funnily enough, is the one that has gone viral. But it just goes to show that people want to know how to save money fast, especially on a low income. These are all tips and strategies that I myself have learned from personal experience. And while I know that it's a very different video, in fact, it's a completely off-niche video from what I usually create here on my YouTube channel, but I believe that this topic on how to save money very well fits in the category of lifestyle type of videos that I create here on my channel. And I really truly want to share with you guys how I save money. Are you saving up to buy your first home, maybe your first car? Maybe you have a goal of a specific amount of money that you really want to save up, maybe to go away on a trip somewhere, or just to have that nest egg of financial safety. Do you constantly have to keep an eye on your earnings and every so often have to move around your budget and never able to relax with a financial peace of mind? If that does sound a little bit like you, then you might just want to keep on watching. Okay, so here's a little bit of background on my financial history. For the last 10 years, I have been a lower income earner. I work in the hospitality industry. I always have, and until I'm big enough on YouTube to be able to do it as a full-time job, hospitality is what I have chosen to do as my career path because I'm actually pretty good at it. And everybody knows it's not the most glamorous or high-paying job. Also, since the filming of my last How to Save Money video, I have since also become a single person, so I am now down to one income. But here are some practical tips on how I manage my budget, manage my income, have financial peace of mind, and up until May 2019, when I purchased my first home all by myself, I was also completely debt-free. Before I continue on with this video, I hope you guys consider subscribing. I put out 3 videos every single week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And while I know that this video is all about how to save money, I create videos on product reviews, makeup tutorials, and also lifestyle advice. Now, to preface everything that I'm about to share in this video, it's very important to remember that your income is your greatest asset. You've got to manage it wisely with everything that you've got. You are the steward, you are responsible for your income. Once you've received your wages, you've got to spend it wisely. Because once you spend it here and you spend it there and you splash a little bit here and there and everywhere, it's no longer yours. You're never ever ever going to see it again. It's now become someone else's income. Now with all that out of the way, let's start with tip number 1. The most important thing that you can do for yourself is to establish your budget. Put some serious time aside, whether it's by yourself or with your partner or with your family or whatever, and work out what your necessary expenses are for every single week. And those necessary expenses are things like your rent, your fuel, your groceries, your internet, phone bill, all those things that we as a modern day society need in order to be able to live and function. These are your recurring expenses. So it is important to remember that once you've got your income / wages, it's already not all yours. So work out what your budget is for every single week. You know what your income is, you know what your weekly expenses are, and what's left is your budget, what you've got left to work with. What you can then put aside in order to save money. And that brings us to point number 2. The money that you have left after working out your budget, put some money aside every single week. Like what I said in tip number 1, once you've earned it, it's already not all yours. You already know that you need to pay your rent, buy food, put gas in the car, and pay taxes. And then with the money that's left, put it in a savings account. Or alternatively, you could set up a direct debit so the money automatically goes into that savings account without you having to think of it or try and remember to do it every single week. Once you put that money aside for your recurring expenses, whatever's left, you don't even have to put all of that into the savings account. Just work out what you can spare every single week to put in that savings account. Just think of how much money you could save if you put it aside in your savings account instead of just leaving it in your readily available spendings account. Once you've put that extra little bit of savings aside, then you'll have a little bit left to deal with other little expenses that might come up. I always say out of sight, out of mind, and I find that to be especially true when I don't see that extra bit of money in my spendings account. Okay, tip number 3 has been incredibly helpful for me personally. Set for yourself a short-term savings goal, whether it's 1 month, 6 months, or a whole year. I always find that I save more successfully when I have something to work towards. When you think of it in a way that you have an end in sight, you can see your progress. Now, you know what your budget is, so make your goal attainable. It's good to aspire to a goal, but also be realistic so that you don't end up feeling discouraged or defeated. Tip number 4, if you don't have the money, don't buy it. Taking out small loans to have the latest model of this and that and the other is not going to do you any favors in the long run. Avoid things like Afterpay or even lay-by. I am incredibly against Afterpay because if I don't have the money, I will not buy something. Although I'm sure everything has its time and place, there may be some virtue or advantage to having the lay-by after payment plan. But if you don't have any strict self-control on these things, the temptation of having something right now and then paying later can very easily spiral out of control. Before you know it, you'll have small debts here and there, and then once you combine them all together, it could end up in one huge, massive debt that you just do not have the money to pay for. Tip number 5 is plan for events. If you know you have an event coming up, like a concert, a show, a friend's wedding on the weekend, where you need to spend the weekend away, and you feel obliged to give a monetary present, set an amount of money aside for that each week. Whether it's $5, $10, $15, $20. Small amounts of money put aside every single week are less noticeable than a huge chunk of money gone in one weekend. You're going to end up spending that money anyway for that event. So once you have that event planned, and for these sort of things, it's usually a few months ahead of time when you have them planned. So every single week, put aside a little bit of money for that event. Okay, tip number 6 is have an emergency fund. This can make all the difference. Having that safety net is definitely the price that you pay for having peace of mind. This is the amount of money that you put aside in your savings every single week. I personally count this amount of money that I put in my emergency fund as part of my reoccurring expenses every single week. And I make a point not to use that money because that is for my safety net. Whether it's $50, $100, $150, whatever you can spare, put that money aside instead of spending it on eating out or junk food or, you know, some frivolous thing that you'll never get the benefits from in the long run. The emergency fund is there for just that, for emergencies. So when you do have an emergency, like some huge unexpected family expense or your car breaking down, or maybe getting a brick thrown through your window, you have the money in your emergency account to remedy those things. But when you do take it out, it's very important to remember to replenish it so that it's always there. Tip number 7 is actually very, very easy. Save all your loose change. I'm actually serious. Any loose change that you might have in the bottom of your handbag, under the seats in your car, that you find in the nooks and crannies of your house, or in the miscellaneous brick and brack basket that you know we all have in the kitchen somewhere. Take all that extra small change, put it in a cash tin, a flower pot, a piggy bank, a glass jar, whatever you want, and at the end of the year you just might have saved enough to buy yourself an extra nice Christmas present. I mean, I know, I've done it, I'm doing it, it's what I do with all my loose change. At the end of 1 year, I had $300 saved up, all because I saved all my extra loose change. Tip number 8, don't just tap it, insert it. Now you get your mind out the gutter now, I know what you're thinking, or maybe it's just me. I'm talking about the utility of PayPass. When you tap your card, the money doesn't come out of your account immediately. This has been my experience in the past. I don't know if it has been updated since then, but this is the way that it works for me with my particular bank. I don't know if it works the same way for every other bank, but anyway, I digress. Don't tap your card, insert it. When you tap your card, the money doesn't come out of your account immediately, which then gives you a false reading of what your account balance actually is. If you insert your card for payment, the money will immediately show up as spent, and it'll help you keep better track of your expenses. And this especially applies on the days when you're going on shopping sprees, or the days when you need a little bit of retail therapy, because I mean, I know, we all know that we do it every once in a while. Okay, tip number 9. If you are someone like me who is prone to online shopping, then this tip might be very helpful to you. Use the 24-hour rule. When you're wanting to purchase something, take 24 hours to think about it. Avoid trolling shopping websites at 2 a.m. in the morning, because everybody knows that you have a diminished sense of wise judgment past 2 a.m. in the morning. So for me, the 24-hour rule would apply when I'm wanting to make purchases like buying some more makeup, when something new and hyped up is being released and everybody wants to get on the bandwagon of purchasing this newest and next best thing. Or maybe a new camera, maybe some new equipment for my filming setup. So I'm not really talking about like the small $10, $15 expenses, although don't forget those things add up too, but I'm talking more about the $100, $200 type of expenses. You feel me? I've done this many a time when I've been online trolling past midnight and I really want to buy this and that item and the other, and I just click and add them all to my cart. And then sometimes I don't, but most times I'll stop and think about it and think, okay, I'll continue this in the morning, and then generally about 99% of the time I look at it again in the morning with fresh eyes and I think, oh, I don't really need that, or oh, I can get that next time, or you know, that doesn't look as good, and my wiser judgment then gets the better of me, and I'm able to make better judgment on my purchasing decisions if I leave time between the impulse buy and the wise money spending buy. Applying the 24-hour rule will also give you some time to do some research about the product that you're wanting to buy, which will then enable you to make a wiser and more informed decision before going out and spending your hard-earned money. Tip number 10, I do all the time. Think in terms of how many hours an item would cost instead of how many dollars it'll cost. As a lower average wage income earner, I do this all the time. No matter what job you're in, think of that difficult client or the workplace bullshit that you've had to put up for 8 hours that everyone will inevitably have to deal with at one time or another. So think to yourself whether or not this purchase that you're about to make is worth your time. For example, let's say you earn, I don't know, $20 an hour and you want to buy something like, aka me, a makeup collection that's maybe going to cost me $100. I think to myself, is the 5+ well, plus because you know you still have to pay tax, is the 5+ hours that I'm working in order to buy this item, is it worth it? I mean, and if the item is makeup, my answer is generally yes. But anyway, you get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Is the item I'm getting really worth all those hours I worked? Ask yourself, will it give me joy? Will it give me benefits in the long run? But you know what? If for you, weighing up the item to the hours that you've worked and the answer is, you know, questionable, then you've got your answer. Okay, tip number 11 is something that I do all the time. Sell your unused items. I periodically go through my makeup items, my household items, even my wardrobe, and I clean out the things that I have not used in maybe 6 months to a year. And I sell those items on Facebook Marketplace. For some people, it might be Gumtree, Craigslist, I don't know, whatever the version is for you, wherever you live, where people sell their secondhand or slightly used items for a discounted price. I like to bundle things, like sell things in bulk, because there are people out there like me sometimes who are willing to spend maybe, for example, $200 on a bulk amount of items, because you know, bulk means savings, right? And then just like that, you made yourself some money on things that would have otherwise been sitting unused in your closet or in your cupboard. You magically have that extra money to put aside for your savings that week, or your groceries that week, or for me, in my case, more makeup. On that tip, on the flip side, buy your things secondhand. And that brings me to tip number 12. Don't be extravagant. You don't have to have the newest and latest best model of anything or everything. In fact, you know what? You don't even have to have brand names. We live in an age of consumerism where there will always be someone else who is selling their lightly used, maybe a couple times used phone, computer, car, maybe not car, but makeup, clothing, shoes. You can find brand names being sold secondhand at a discounted price. You just gotta keep your eye out for them on Facebook Marketplace or whatever secondhand platform that you're buying from. Just keep your eye out and be patient. And these items that these people are selling, they will have to sell them at a discounted price because they are secondhand, even if they are only slightly used. That brings me to op shops. I love op shops. These are great places to find secondhand things, sometimes even brand new things, clothing, shoes, furniture, at a really discounted price. I buy a majority of my clothes and all of my home decor items from the op shop or Kmart, because y'all know I love Kmart. You know, Kmart's really cheap. Just as cheap as buying from the op shop sometimes. You let me look up here. I have a whole Kmart haul right up here. But yeah, in op shops you can find some ripper deals. You just gotta know how to comb through the shelves. Keep your eye out for those hidden gems. And if you're a budgeter like me, you learn pretty damn quick. Tip number 13. While you don't have to have all the newest and latest best brand name things for everything, it's very important to remember not to buy cheap for cheap's sake. There's budgeting and then there's investing. Okay, I have an example here and it actually really pains me to relive this example. When I bought my first home and moved in, I needed to buy a washing machine. So what did I do? Being the tight ass that I am, I went onto Facebook Marketplace and looked for some secondhand washing machines because I had looked for brand new ones and they were anywhere up from $400. But no, I had to go onto Facebook Marketplace and I procured one decent enough washing machine for $350. Long story short, in a couple months that washing machine was broken and then I ended up having to go out and buy another washing machine, and in the long run I ended up spending more money on 2 washing machines than I would have than if I had purchased the brand new one in the first place. So that was a very painful financial lesson for me. So again, don't buy cheap for cheap's sake. Learn to distinguish the difference between where you're budgeting, where you can get just as good an item that will serve you just as well for a lesser price, the difference between that and buying something that you will end up spending more money on but will be more efficient and give you more benefits in the long term. And here are a few other little tips and tricks that I do on a daily basis to help myself save money. Take a packed lunch to work. I could be a little bit better at this, but this will save you so much more money in the long run. Commit to eating out less times every single month so that when you do go out, it's more of a treat rather than a convenience, because we all know convenience costs money. Compare prices when you're doing the grocery shopping. If you take the time to read price stickers, it will generally tell you the unit price of how much it'll cost per liter per 100 grams of any one item. That way you can see what best value or bang for your buck that you're getting. And while we're on the topic of grocery, shop the sales. You don't have to get the same thing every single week. Look for the yellow stickers or the red stickers or whatever it is in your grocery store and shop the sales. You can end up saving so much money doing it this way. So those are all my tips for today's video. I truly hope that it was helpful and was able to give you guys value. As a testament of just how effective these tips have been in my life, in May of this year, I was able to purchase my first home all by myself as a single person on a lower income. Please don't be discouraged, be encouraged. You just gotta be prepared to put in the hard work and have the self-control. These tips do work, they are effective. Up until May of this year when I purchased my first home, I was completely debt-free. Besides having a mortgage, I am completely debt-free on everything else. I know having a mortgage is a massive thing, and very soon I'm going to be putting out a video on how to buy a house as a single person on a low income. Yes, that can be done too. If I can do it, I know that you guys can do it too. So stay tuned for that video. It is possible to live within your means. I don't have very much, I don't need very much, and I live a very, very simple life. And you know, ultimately it's up to you guys what you do. I'm not trying to tell you how to spend your money, but these are just things that I have found incredibly helpful. And I hope that you guys found this video helpful and full of value as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I do predominantly create videos about makeup, but if that is also something that might interest you, then please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because I create 3 videos every single week. You can also follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of them are lifeaskikay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I really truly appreciate that you've chosen to spend your time here with me today. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! These sleeves though! Oh my gosh. I shouldn't have worn this top for this video. I feel like it was very distracting. Oh well, whatever, it's done now. Single purser. Single purser. I've become a single purser. When I burnt your grocery, your rent, your grocery, your income, your rent, your grocery, like what I said in tip number 1, when you this, you have the money, you have the money in your emergency account. Tip number 8, that's not 8. What your account balance. You insert your comment. Okay, tip number 9. Now I can count. I promise I can count. Tip number 9. What's wrong with my finger? Anyway, let's go back to the video, shall we? Age it as a lower Tip number 13. Okay, tip number that way you can see what best value or bang for your buck But bang for your butt. Subscribe if you leave. Subscribe if you leave. Please don't leave.